Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I have something a little bit different for you guys, but I'm really excited to bring this content to my channel. I've been sitting down and having interviews with solo developers, mod developers, and just people in the gaming industry, focusing primarily on the boomer shooter genre, and I thought it would provide some really interesting perspective on how these individuals approach game development, approach designing these games, these mods, these passion projects, and just give us some overall insight into how these people think and what it takes to create these games that we love to play. The interview you're about to listen to is with Genia, who is the current head developer of Quake Champions Doom Edition. It is a Doom 2 mod that runs off of the q-zandronum engine, and it is basically a reimagination of what Quake Champions could look like if it was made inside of a Doom 2 engine. If you want to learn more about Quake Champions Doom Edition, I do have a showcase video up on my channel, which I will link in the video description, and please listen to this interview with Genia. Thank you. Genia, thank you for joining me today. Everybody, Genia is the current lead developer of Quake Champions Doom Edition. Really awesome game that I featured on the channel already. And he's agreed to answer a couple questions about the game, about his development experience, just a couple things to kind of get to know him a little bit better, what the projects he's working on, and just have a little insight into what passion projects, indie development projects like this is all about. So, Genia, thank you again for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you too for inviting me.
Absolutely. Well, we'll just hop right in. I just have a couple of random questions. There's no particular order here. I guess the first one is just your background playing games. What are the classic shooter games that you played growing up?
Well, it was pretty much the top-notch classics. My first game was either Doom 2 or Heretic. I don't remember which one it was exactly. But I used to play those two quite a lot. And also later I did play Quake 2, played Quake 3. I didn't play Quake 1 for some reason.
That's funny, because I played Quake 1 and then skipped Quake 2 and then played Quake 3, so
yeah,
it's funny how that works.
A bunch of my friends also played Quake 1, but also Quake 2, and they liked both of them. But for me it was different.
Well, if you had to have a favorite game of all time, and it doesn't have to be a classic shooter, what would be your personal favorite game of all time?
Well, in a way it is Heretic, because I kind of have a tradition of playing it like once a year.
Okay.
For like the last 15 years I played Heretic every year. For a more modern game I would say it would be Risk of Rain 2.
Oh, that's a great game.
I played it a lot lately.
Yeah, that one's really fun.
Yeah.
I like that game too. Awesome. Well, let's shift over to your game, Quake Champions Doom Edition. You know, I've chatted with you a few times just in direct messages, and we've talked a little bit about the game. One of the things that you've told me is that we've added a lot of different types of movement to Quake Champions Doom Edition. You have like Quake 3 movement with the Unreal Weapon Pack. You have kind of Unreal movement. There's Doom movement. Can you explain a little bit your process on how you replicate this movement into the game so it really feels like those classic games and that movement is being put into your game, and how you made that feel so good?
Well, the Doom movement has always been there because it's a Doom game. But as for Quake movement, that wasn't actually me. When I started working on q-zandronum, my goal was to improve the netcode. And then another guy in the community called Ivory Duke decided to join in and implement Quake movement. And I don't know where he got it, but he had all the formulas about how Quake movement, like inertia and friction, should be calculated.
Oh, okay.
So he had all those, and he did add the basic implementation of Quake movement, although he later left and I was tweaking it later on top of that.
Got it.
He also did add the I actually forgot the name of the Quake QCDE champion. It's Inquisitor. His dash ability, double tap dash, which is then reused for UT movement. I just changed the requirements, like you have to be on ground or near a wall to trigger it. But generally, it's just a push toward whatever direction you were typing. Like
Gotcha. Very cool. Well, speaking about champions, I guess when you work on balancing the champions of the game, you know, do you look to balance the multiplayer first and then go to the single player or the co-op, or is it the other way around? And do you really consider player feedback when balancing? What's your kind of approach to balancing champions?
Well, I have to admit that I mostly think about duels, because that's the game mode I play the most. And that kind of backfired with Orb, because he was okay in duels and bad in every other game mode. So I had to... And he was actually where player feedback was very useful about him, and I did implement some features that the community suggested, and he plays fine now in PvP and single player as well.
Very cool. Okay. You know, I've been really impressed with how many features and just stuff is in your game. You guys have crammed so much into it. But if you had all the time in the world, you know, maybe even if you got paid to work on this, you know, what's a big weapon set from another game that you would add to Quake Champions Doom Edition? Like you've added Unreal Tournament weapons. Would you add another weapon pack if you had all the time in the world?
I would probably add the Painkiller weapon set, just because it's different enough from Quake and UT. And also, if I had all the time in the world, I would add remaining weapon skins like the Serious Sam weapon skins for Quake weapons and stuff. Yeah, but unfortunately,
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of work to.
But generally, I would love to see Painkiller weapons in the game.
Well, what is the most time-consuming aspect of development for you? Just you know, when I know you manage basically the entire project, what particular thing takes you the most time?
I wouldn't say there is one particular thing that really takes most time. I really jump between bugs, new features, some balance stuff. I just jump between them all the time. But sometimes it's some really tricky bugs that I actually had to spend days just to figure out what's going on. I would say that was really time consuming.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, like a lot of time spent with little progress in that regard.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, squashing bugs can be quite a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
I've been in the Discord for a little while, and there's always a flood of conversation. Excuse me. A lot of player ideas. What's the best type of player feedback that actually really helps you as a developer? I'm sure that there's a ton of feedback that, you know, it's almost too much, but what's one thing that like really you look at and you go, okay, that's really helpful?
Well, I'm obviously pointing out at bugs or some small issues on maps, that kind of stuff, but also suggestions about like what champion plays badly. I guess again, like what happened to Orb, like people were just pointing out that it's bad, and you gotta bring his dual features into single player as well, just to make him viable.
Right.
But yeah, mostly just pointing out bugs, like here's the bug, here's how you reproduce it, if possible.
Gotcha. Do you have one particular challenge that you've been faced with when developing QCDE that you're able to overcome, that you're like really proud of yourself for being able to conquer that one issue?
I would say that's the unlocked pretty much everything in the engine. That is that you can fire weapons without ping delay, you can open doors without ping delay, your extra movement features are not delayed by ping as well. And well, weapons and abilities specifically took me like a year just to implement them in the engine, and then also make use of that feature in the mode as well. I would say that was my biggest achievement in this game.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, you know, I know you've been working on it for a long time. Obviously, the group before you took control has too. You know, do you guys have like a stopping goal in mind with QCDE? I mean, I know you're constantly updating it. Sometimes you do big updates, sometimes you do smaller updates. But for you, I guess your personal like goal for the game, where do you see that being someday?
Well, this might disappoint some feature, but some people. But it's about what we have now. That was that was already surpassed my original goal for what I started working. Well, what I wanted to make originally.
Yeah.
Although I have one big feature left remaining, I won't tell what it is. It's gonna be a surprise.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but basically right now the goal is to just finish QCDE 3.0.
Yeah.
After that, I also promised to bring q-zandronum features to vanilla Zandronum, and we'll probably port QCDE to that, and well, as well with some new features using some new features from Zandronum 3.1, 3.2 as well. And after that, I don't really have any plans after that.
Yeah, I didn't want to torture you with, you know, questions of, hey, add this champion and are you going to do this? I kind of could gauge from the Discord that you guys are.
Well, honestly, even I want to see a lot of champions in the game as well. But it's just sometimes it's just not worth it the time, or I don't really have ideas of how they are supposed to work.
Right. Which totally makes sense. I imagine creating a champion is quite a time-consuming process, and you guys already have so many in there. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my final question for you as we kind of wrap this up is, you just mentioned, you know, porting QCDE into vanilla Zandronum. What about any other gaming projects? Do you have anything like a personal project on the horizon, or another mod in mind, or something that you hope to work on in a couple of years when you're done with QCDE? Do you have any plans or anything in the back of your mind you want to work on?
Well, I don't have any plans on making games. Not because I don't want to, but I just don't have a general game design of what I want to do. Although I do want to get more experience with Unreal Engine, especially Unreal Engine 4 and 5, and especially like building maps with it. So I have kind of wish to make an Unreal Tournament 4 map just to get some experience.
Sure.
But that would be post QCDE.
Awesome. Well, I don't know if you have anything else you want to share with us, or if you just want to wrap it up there, but that's really the end of my questions. It was just kind of a rapid fire session, so I really appreciate you taking the time. But is there any closing statements or anything you want to say at this time?
Honestly, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot.
Kind of. I promise that an update is coming. Might still take a few weeks to release. I hope to release it like early August.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for taking the time to join me in this little interview. And best of luck to you with the rest of your project and getting across that 3.0 goal line. I'll be there in the background watching and checking it out, and maybe I'll even do a follow-up video when you add the secret feature you talked about. That's really intriguing. So thanks again, and I guess we'll just call it there.
Yeah, thank you too.
All right, there you have it, guys. That was my interview with Genia, the head developer of QCDE Quake Champions Doom Edition. Again, a showcase of the game can be found on my channel, and it is linked in the video description. I will also have a link to the QCDE download page where you can go and get the mod yourself, as well as a link to the Discord if you have any interest in hopping in and joining that community. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed this kind of content, and let me know what you think in the comments below. I have a handful of more interviews on the horizon coming out soon, so please be sure to subscribe if you're interested in coming back and learning more about some of these boomer shooter games and the developers behind them. And as always, just thank you very much for tuning in. I'm SaltyOctopus, and I will see you next time.
Left.